From the News Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. Nick Barris here on a Monday. Are you bleary-eyed? Did you stay up late and watch the debate, or maybe Monday Night Football, or Sunday Night Football, rather? I don't know. I'm glad you're joining us now. And I just want to give you a heads up that we are going to strike a blow for civil discourse on TV this morning after what was definitely a more heated, rambunctious debate last night on our show this morning. But we will go into more detail about the debate tomorrow. So keep your thoughts in mind for that, and let's see what kind of fallout we find out today on how things play out from the debate. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Today, when you talk civility, you think one name.
One name.
One name. And that's Tim Takis. Tim Takis, let's keep it clean. No locker room talk
discourse,
this morning.
Discourse and civil, right?
Discourse.
Yes, let's have discourse and let's be civil about it.
It is always civil when you're on the show.
Right.
And the idea here is to help folks. And people are saying, most of our viewers know absolutely who you are, but he's an elder law attorney. And he's a regular guest on this program. And we have him on every month. And we're glad to have him on this Monday to talk about estate planning, the future. You know, like I said, a lot of people stayed up late watching that crazy debate last night, and maybe some of them are wondering what's the future for me with these candidates, and where are we going in the future of this country. But I mean, that can rattle some folks.
We know. Oh, absolutely. And of course, the stuff of what we do is Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, VA, health care, obviously for older people. All of that is very important.
Sure.
And it's just before we went on, we're talking about what changes occur, and I always say is that we don't get changes during election years.
That's right.
And unfortunately, almost every year winds up being an election year, and so sometimes things don't change.
Well, and you're saying they don't get change. We mean changes during election year because of the transition, or because also, I mean, they're all talking about what they're going to do when they get elected.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, but nothing until that point. It's kind of like you have lame duck politicians leading up to it. But the truth is, everyone, as you watched the debate last night, they did touch on health care at one point, and you wonder about Social Security, and down the road, politics play a large hand in electing, obviously, individuals who are going to make decisions that affect the very thing you do.
Exactly.
In terms of the laws of the land, and as it relates to retirement, Social Security, family planning, those kind of things, right?
Absolutely. Exactly. I mean, a lot of what we do is that it's governed by what the feds say. Right. Whether it's Congress, or whether it's the executive branch, like the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, which is the huge federal agency that administers the Medicare and Medicaid programs. And so, and because basically, if you're 65 years old, there are 95% chance that you're on Medicare.
Okay.
And you think about
so you'd be very cautious watching what they're going to propose for that.
Absolutely. And so we are very, we're all very concerned about that. I mean, but mostly not concerned so much as watching to see what's going to happen. I mean, we don't expect major changes in Medicare, but we know how much of the budget, the federal budget, it takes up. And so we always know that the federal government is going to say, how can we save money on this program? And can we save it in the right way, or are we going to save it in the wrong way? Because saving it on the right way is about spending smarter,
eliminating waste if there is any left,
improving the health of populations, all of us, improving the experience of care,
so you're healthier,
exactly, and the federal government actually calls that the triple aim of healthcare: smarter spending, better health of populations, and a better experience of care. And if we can get that, we can that's where we want to head. But just saving money without improving population health or improving patient experience of care is not the way to go. And that's the sort of thing because it's easy to cut the budget. If you got enough votes, you can cut the budget. The question is how does that help our older population? And that's really what we want to. That's what we're striving for.
And as long as you've been doing elder law, and then, you're one of the. Frankly, you're one of the foremost experts on this avenue of the law in the entire country. And I know you're humble about that, but he lectures all over the country on this. I'm just curious, as you think back, can you give me an example, and maybe you can't, of the last time there was some type of significant decision made by the federal government that maybe affected, be it Medicare or something like that? When was the last biggie that you think, for better or worse, that maybe caught your attention that you had to address with some of your clients? Is
Well,
there
certainly
one that comes
Part
to
D.
mind? Okay,
Medicare
talk about
Part
that.
D.
That was big. All right,
Right,
so when that was-
2003, what, 2003, 2000, okay.
So you would know better than me. I don't know. When was that?
Early 00s, early aughts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Early part of
2003.
this decade. Okay.
Right, exactly. You know, and so we
For the past decade,
You know,
yeah.
and it was a big deal because all of us knew that the federal government had to do something about prescription medication. I mean, from as long as I've been practicing elder law in the early 90s, you know, it was always about, yeah, we've got this program, but as long as seniors are trading, okay, do I buy my medication this month, you know, or do I pay the electric bill?
Right. That's
I mean,
the choice
you know,
we want people to make.
we had a lot of conversations about that over the years about the Part D plan, and so, you know, that was a positive improvement for the Medicare
Which
program.
basically, again, Part D allows people to afford the medicines they need without having to decide between electricity and the pill for their cholesterol.
And of course, a lot of things that people don't recall maybe about that legislation, it's the Medicare Modernization Act, whatever, you know, of whatever year it was, is that it also involved a trade-off. Because what the federal government did is that, okay, we're going to have Part D medication, prescription medication. Yeah, well, great, we're going to put that in for our seniors. But then they also changed the Medicare Advantage program. That's the Medicare Managed Care program. You know, probably the most people in this area know about HealthSpring. You know, and HealthSpring is a private Medicaid managed care
like
program.
Supplements, right?
Exactly, but it's like how you get your Medicare through a private managed, so those people don't need supplements.
Okay.
You know, and what that law did that put Part D in place is that they also changed the way that they paid the Medicare managed care organizations. And some people say, well, we gave up too much money or whatever because we did this and that. But I mean, there's always trade-offs.
Yes.
You know, in other words, you know, and what we try to do is that, you know, how could we move forward? You know, I mean, that's, you know, in the long run, you know, if we don't move forward, we're all going to die.
Right.
I mean, we're all going to die anyway, so we might as well move forward, okay, while we're doing it, okay, if we can.
Right.
You know, and we can argue whether progressive, you know, I'm not, you know, this is not a political thing, okay? I'm just talking about, you know, how can we put plans in place or legislation in place that help people, you know, and also, you know, make sure that we can pay for them, make sure that we don't give up other essential parts of what government should do for people, all those sorts of things, and it's very difficult.
Yeah, and most of your clients, many of them, you have younger family members, but they're talking about their parents or folks that are over 65 or seniors, and that is a powerful voting block. They get out and vote, and AARP and others do pay attention to the candidates and what it is they're saying. So again, that's an important part about making sure you get out and vote, is you follow these debates and you look at the candidates, and not just the presidential races, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, I know many people are disgusted with, you know, the tone of the presidential race or the candidates one way or the other. Hey, there are still a lot of other races that are very important as well. Senate and House and local races, so it's important to get out and vote. That's just me throwing that out there. Now, I want to make sure to say this, too, as we're talking broad here. Tim can get very specific with any questions you have, 737-7587. As you said, you know, folks can call in, ask you about wills, you know, reverse mortgages, retirement plans. I mean, not financial planning necessarily,
but estate plan, you know,
setting up the estate.
Should you set up a trust? You know, should you get,
all those kind of
we
basic
always get questions about, you know, should you give money away, because we always have questions about that. You know, I was speaking to a group last week at the Tennessee State Veterans Home. They have a family council there, you know, and, you know, I was supposed to speak for 20 minutes and it wound up almost an hour and a half because people started asking questions. And the first question was, well, my mom's a resident here, you know, and what should she do with the house? You know, and you know, we've had that conversation before, is that, you know, does Medicaid take the house and all those sorts of things? And so, you know, those are people that are, I mean, never thought they'd be facing that. And all of a sudden, mom's in the nursing home and she's being well taken care of, and they're going, the daughter's going, what am I going to do with the house? You know, she's got two brothers and a sister and everything else, and now they're all having this conversation because, you know, no one wants to, you know, they're thinking that the nursing home is going to take the house. No, it doesn't happen that way. You know, you have to sign over the house to the government in order to get benefits. No. You know, all those sorts of things that come in, you know, that we all have conversations about, you know, and so, And then I'm sitting there with a group I'm sitting at a table over here, and this lady's over here asking questions about that, and there's 3 spouses over here, and all I could think, the rising sense of panic is if the government's going to take my house for my husband's nursing home care? No,
it's not. By the way, I was
doesn't work that way.
I was going on a run this weekend, and I was actually listening as I flipped through the channels I caught Dave Ramsey, Dave Ramsey, and I think he's got a good way of looking at a lot of ways in terms of saving and how it goes. Someone actually called in about an inheritance.
Yes.
And I wasn't sure. I don't know all about tax, but if you inherit there's no taxes on it, right? Unless they're liquefying some kind of
like a retirement plan.
Retirement plan. But short of that, if you get an inheritance, it's not taxed, right?
Right. Yeah, because it's already been taxed before it got to you.
That's the way I understand it. And Dave was making that clear.
Yeah. Let's say that you're fortunate enough to inherit a $20 million estate.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss, but I got $20 million. That sort of thing. Well, that $20 million is going to come to you after the federal estate tax has been paid. We don't have a state inheritance tax, but we have a federal estate tax. So if you die and you own enough, the size of your estate is high enough, the government says, well.
All right, but that's a state. But that's confusing. Before we go to break, what if an uncle dies?
Yes.
And he leaves the cash that's in his bank account, and it's $50,000.
Yeah,
so it's $50,000 in his bank. He dies. He goes,
no taxes.
Give my $50,000 to Nick.
No taxes.
That's it,
no
because
taxes.
he's already paid taxes.
He's already paid taxes, and it's not income to you, so you don't have to pay taxes on that. So
it was just interesting. I heard that. I was thinking, and the person was confused. Dave laid it out pretty good, and so did you just now. Listen, let's take a break on that. We've got some calls coming in. Here's your chance to get some help, free legal advice if you'd like, with regard to, as you said, a lot of stuff we all maybe put off but need to address. Like you said, wills, power of attorney, all kinds of stuff like that you need to get. And I've learned a lot from him, and I'm working on that with regard to my parents. So we'll take a break and be back with your calls. More of our conversation, including at one point we got to talk about Medicare open enrollment, which is kicking in this month.
Yes.
So we'll be right back with more with Tim Takis after this.